The Boy in the Haunted House. In the fall of 1995, the Miller family moved into an old two-story house at the edge of a small town. The family had 5 members: Father Daniel, Mother Sarah, their teenage daughter Anna, their younger son Michael, and Daniel's elderly mother Margaret. The house had been empty for years. Neighbors warned them that strange things happened there after midnight, but Daniel dismissed the stories as superstition. One stormy night, someone knocked on the front door. Standing outside was a young boy, perhaps 12 years old. His clothes were soaked from the rain, and his face was strangely pale.
"My name is Thomas," he whispered. "Can I come inside?"
Feeling sorry for him, Sarah invited him in. That was the last night anyone saw the Miller family alive. The following morning, police entered the house and discovered that all 5 family members had been murdered. There was no sign of forced entry, and the mysterious boy had disappeared. Investigators searched the town, but nobody could identify a child named Thomas. The house was abandoned again. Years passed. People living nearby began reporting strange things. At night, they could sometimes see 5 shadowy figures standing behind the upstairs windows. Others heard a woman crying, footsteps running through empty hallways, and a child's voice whispering from inside the house. Then investigators uncovered an old photograph hidden beneath the basement floorboards. The photograph had been taken nearly 70 years earlier. Standing in front of the same house was a 12-year-old boy. On the back was written, "Thomas, 1926. According to all newspaper records, Thomas had died inside the house in 1926. But the most frightening discovery came when investigators enlarged the photograph. Behind Thomas stood 5 shadowy figures. They looked exactly like the 5 members of the Miller family. People who would not be born until decades after the photograph was taken. And every year, on the anniversary of the murders, neighbors still hear someone knocking on the abandoned front door. Knock, knock, knock. Then a young boy's voice asks, "Can I come inside?" Suddenly, everything goes dark, and nobody knows what happened for 5 years. 30 years had passed since the 5 members of the Miller family were murdered inside the old two-story house. It was now 2025, but the house was still standing. No one had lived there since the murders. The wooden walls had turned gray, the windows were cracked, and dead vines covered the front porch. The yard had become a forest of weeds. Even during the daytime, the house seemed darker than everything around it. Everyone in town knew the story. Parents warned their children never to go near the property. Hunters avoided the woods behind it. Even police officers preferred not to stop their cars in front of the house after sunset. People said the 5 murdered members of the Miller family were still inside. But they weren't alone. Thomas was still there too. Some neighbors claimed they had seen a young boy standing behind an upstairs window. He always wore the same old-fashioned clothes and had the same pale face. He never seemed to grow older. One October evening, 3 college students drove into town after hearing about the abandoned house on the internet. They wanted to make a documentary. 30 years and nobody has gone inside? One of them laughed. There has to be a reasonable explanation. An elderly man at a nearby gas station overheard them. "Don't go there," he warned. The student smiled. "It's just an abandoned house." The old man stared at them. "No, it's waiting for somebody." That night, the 3 students parked outside the house. They carried flashlights and cameras as they walked through the overgrown yard. The front door was already open. Inside, everything was covered with dust. Then they noticed something strange. On the dining room table were 5 plates. They were clean. A light suddenly appeared upstairs. The students froze. They heard footsteps above them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then came a sixth set of footsteps, smaller, slower, a child's footsteps. One student pointed his camera toward the staircase. A young boy stood at the top.
Thomas?
He whispered. The boy smiled. Suddenly, 5 shadowy figures appeared behind him. The students ran. 2 escaped through the front door and never returned. But the third student disappeared. Police searched the house the following morning. They found his camera lying on the upstairs floor. The final recording showed the student running through a hallway before suddenly stopping. At the end of the hallway stood Thomas. Behind him were the 5 members of the Miller family. But when investigators examined the final frame, they discovered something terrifying. There were now 6 adult shadows standing behind the boy. 30 years had passed. The house was still there. And now the town understood why nobody wanted to visit it. Thomas wasn't haunting the house alone. He was collecting people to haunt it with him.